So the next look in this collection is going to be our Tousled Texture. So if you guys want to pull out the cards for this, and we'll go over that. One of the things you're going to notice if you look at the last picture is how soft and natural and beautiful these waves really are. They are not all uniform, it's not perfection, it's just piecey enough to just give you that pretty soft look. And really, I want to share with you today how to make these curls with your iron behind the chair. So a few things. First, we have prepped her already. We've given her a nice blowout following these same sections using the volume mousse, not the volume mousse extra, the volume mousse, giving her a nice volumizing blowout. So that's kind of setting the stage for what we're about to create. So let's go ahead and section her into just 4 quadrants. Since she does have a side part, I'm not going to separate her down the middle. I'm going to go with her natural part, and that's going to be our first section. No matter what, we'll always use their part. The other ones will be your standard 4 quadrants, so straight down the center and across ear to ear. And you'll notice we're using zigzag patterns, zigzag partings instead of straight line partings. These zigzag partings are actually going to give us a softer end result and eliminate a lot of the separation and parts that you see if you do a straight line sectioning for curls. So it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just softly going to zigzag these. A lot of people ask, is it 1-inch zigzags or is it just go right down? You like that? I like to use a comb with a point to it. You can use a regular cutting comb. Some of those have little breaks in them for sectioning. Whatever you want to do. I just want you guys to see how very relaxed and organic this part is. It's not a pattern, it's not perfection. I don't want you to obsess over how perfect that sectioning is. I just want you to separate it into 4 quadrants. So this is effortless, remember? So we're not going to overthink anything. We're going to relax and enjoy this style. Once we've got her in her 4 quadrants, we're going to start in the front. I like to start on the right hand side. This curl is going to be easier for you guys to learn. Standing this direction, it feels more natural. It'll feel a little less natural to you the first couple times you do it on the left side. But by the end of class, I think we're all going to have it down. Perfect. So if you look, these are not huge sections that we're dealing with. She's got a teeny tiny mannequin head. These are not huge sections we're dealing with, so I'm going to take our top section. That's going to be last, but we're going to start on this little side section. So if you notice in the diagram, around the face, everything's going back. Once we get maybe 2 curls in, going backwards, then we'll start alternating and throwing in some different directions just to give a little variation. Don't overthink it. Once again, we're using a zigzag part, and because I was not prepared, we're using a small curling iron, but what I would recommend is maybe a 3/4 inch iron depending on your client's hair. But we're going to be using a teeny tiny iron, so I'm going to take a little bit smaller sections today to accommodate. So this is going to be our first section, if you can see about how much we have. And with this curl, I'm assuming we're all right-handed. If not, I'll show you left-handed. But we're going to start with our right hand, normal, just like you'd normally curl, except for we're holding it horizontal. I'm going to make sure you guys can see this. So first thing we're going to do is go over the barrel, and I want this tail to go towards the face. Do you guys see that? And then we're just going to continue wrapping it around horizontally with that tail going towards the face. Once we get to the end, what you want to do is roll the iron while turning the iron. Do you see what it's doing to this curl? Perfect. And when it gets to the end, you can take it and kind of smooth that out at the end. Cool? Do you see how that's still a curl, but it's very organic? It's not perfect and even, it's just kind of pretty. So let me show you guys that again. This one is also going to be going away from the face, since it's only the second one. Same. We're going over the barrel, tail towards the face. I'm going to wrap that all the way up. I like to leave the tails out a little bit. And once again, we're rolling away while we're turning the iron. And that's just giving this, and then we smooth the ends. Does that make sense to everybody? Perfect. I'm going to work through her sides, and then I'll show you the other side, how we're going to address the opposite side of the face. So one more time. Once we have it nice and hot, roll away while you're turning. Once you get used to this, it's super quick. Want to make it a soft part. Do you guys see the diagonal, the zigzag part that we're doing? Perfect. And I really, most of the time, am just using my clip to section because I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just grabbing kind of random sections, random but in order, if that makes sense. This can be in 2 sections since it's her bang. When I get close to their face, I like to start a little bit farther down because I don't want to curl right up on her face, so I go down a little bit about where her eye is at. That's just my personal preference. You guys can play around with this and see how you feel. But that's just what I like. Once we get to this next section here, we're going to switch the direction. So to switch the direction, you want to stand to the opposite side of the curl, and the tail needs to go back. Does this make sense? We're still, whoops, let me show you that one more time. My cord got stuck. So we're still going over the barrel, but we're going back with the tail, away from the face. So this curl will actually end up facing front. We're still unwrapping and twirling while we unwrap, and then straightening the end. Cool? So it's the same curl, but now this one is going towards the face and this one's going away from the face. I'm going to continue working up here. I think you guys are really going to love this curl once you get used to it. It does take a second, just that dexterity. And 2 seconds. There we go. My cord was stuck under my mannequin stand. Once again, I like to start these front ones down just a little bit lower so she doesn't have a curl above her eye. And if we want the curl to go back, then the tail is facing forward. If we want the curl to go forward, then the tail is facing back. So I'm going to do the first 2 going back, and then we'll start to alternate a little bit. So once again, once we change the direction of the curl, we need to change our body position. So if we're curling this way, that's fine. Once we want to change the direction of the curl, we need to change the direction of our bodies. So since this curl is going to be facing forward, the tail is facing back. Cool. I just want you guys to see how these are looking. Cool. Now I want to show you the other side of her face. I know we're not quite finished yet with this. So normally when we're curling the left side of her face, we would be standing on the left side of her body. But with this curl, when we're curling the left side of her face, we actually want to stand in front of her. And this will all make sense in a second. So we're going to take our first little zigzag section. And then this is going to be our first curl. This one we want to go away from the face, so the tail needs to be facing, yes. So if we want the curl to go away from the face, tail faces forward. Cool? So we're standing on the opposite side, just like we did in this back quadrant. Going over the barrel, tail goes towards the face. I'm not straining my body at all. I'm not standing in a weird position. And then we're rolling while we're turning. Cool? Don't worry, I'm going to get you guys up here to practice this. By the end of the class, we'll all have perfected this curl. Cool. So now we're going to do the second row. And if you have a larger curling iron, a 3/4 inch or an inch curling iron, you might only do 2 sections on this side. I'm just doing more sections because I am cursed with a teeny tiny curling iron today. So here's going to be our first section. And remember, we want this to go away from the face. Away from the face, the tail goes towards the face. Over the barrel, tail goes towards the face. Go all the way down, almost to the end. Gets warm. We roll while we're turning our wrist. Roll the iron, turn the wrist. Smooth out the end. Cool. Smooth it out. Over the barrel, tail goes forward. Let that get warm. Roll while we're turning the wrist. Now, this is where we're going to start switching our direction. So far, the tail was going towards the face. Now the tail is going away from the face. Since we're going back to that normal stance that we did on the other side, we can stand directly in front of this section. Since we want this curl to go towards the face, we want the tail to go away from the face. Once that's in, we're rolling the iron, turning the iron, rolling and turning. Smooth out those ends, and there's your curl. And finish out this section. I'll show you just a couple more. Don't forget to constantly move your body position depending on which curl you're doing. So we'll walk back to the front because we know this curl, this front curl, is going away from the face. So we've got this little, almost like a triangle section in the front here. Once we get into her top section here, you don't necessarily want to take straights. Just stick with their part line and do, so this first one might be a triangle looking shape. Cool. We're moving our body position because where we're curling at, tail's going forward, curl's going backwards. Once again, you see where I want to start that curl is just about where her eye's at. The second one here, we're going to do the opposite direction, so we're alternating. So if we want to go the same direction, we would stand on this side. If we want to switch our direction, then we walk over here. Roll and turn. Smooth. Cool. So once we get our sides done, which we have not gotten our sides done yet, but I just want to fast forward for you guys, we'll go on to this back section. Make sure we still have our partings here. So once we get to the back section here, we are going to diagonal line, I keep saying diagonal line. We are going to zigzag line, so just a zigzag parting. Nothing perfect. This is effortless. And then we'll take this out of the way. And we're going to do this entire back section, the bottom back section, all going towards the middle. So they're all going in the same direction towards the center. Once we get to the second row, we'll do a couple back, we'll do a couple forward and then a couple back. You guys can see that in the diagram. Don't obsess over those details. Just make sure that you're alternating here and there, but you do want it to kind of come together in the back. So if you do every other here, you can do every other here. You don't have to do 2, 1, 2, 1. Don't obsess over those little details. Worry more about make sure you're coming back and make sure you're going away from the face. Make sure you're using your zigzag partings and just really perfect how to use that iron. Cool? And I'll show you guys this once we're all finished curling her. I'll be right back.